If we have mouse shoulder, it's typically due to a chronically protracted position in our shoulder for really long periods of time throughout the day. When we're protracted in our shoulder, these pec muscles can become pretty tight, and a great way we can release that trigger point is with a lacrosse ball. Let's get into some of those exercises right now. So with a lacrosse ball, we can try a few different things to relieve that trigger point tightness in our pec muscle from that protracted position. First, we're gonna lay down on the ground here, and we're just gonna lay on that spot that you feel like you have that trigger point. So you're just gonna hang out and just lay on that spot. And a way you can take the pressure off is pushing with this hand. If you can see, I'm pushing with my hand to relieve some of that pressure if it's too much pressure, because it can feel pretty intense in the beginning when you first start doing this, and then slowly adding more weight onto the lacrosse ball. And what the idea is you're going to be hunting for different places in your pec muscle where you might be feeling some of that trigger point pain, and you want to try to let the lacrosse ball sit there for about 3 minutes in that position, and that's going to help to release some of that myofascial tightness in that area. And then the next thing you can try, after you're sitting in a particular spot for a few minutes, you can try doing some directional movement. So you can try moving very slightly side to side in that position. You can try up and down. You can try counterclockwise, clockwise. And you want to try to loosen up that myofascial area just a little bit to get some of that tissue loosened up from that chronically tightened, protracted position in our shoulder when our mouse is forward on our desk for long periods of time throughout the day. So in addition to laying on the floor, we can do some standing trigger point release against a doorway. So you'll just stand against the doorway and place that lacrosse ball right over the trigger point of your shoulder. And the same idea, you're just gonna hang out here, lean into the doorway. The more you lean into the doorway, the more intense the release will be. You can hang out in this position for a few minutes. And then you can also do the same thing in this position. You can try doing up and down after hanging out in that position for a few minutes. You'll try going up and down. You can try going side to side, clockwise, counterclockwise. And it's a little bit easier when you're standing against a doorway to do movements. So you can try doing some shoulder extension in this position. You can try doing some shoulder abduction in this position. You can do some external, internal rotation in this position with your arm abducted or just to your side. And doing some of those movements and releases will help with the fascial tissue. You're moving it in different ranges of motion, breaking up different fascial regions just to be able to loosen up that chronically protracted shoulder from being at your mouse all day. And if we imagine that this rubber band is my pectoralis major or pectoralis minor muscle group, essentially that muscle group is going to be running from our clavicle to our sternum in this region. And if we're in that protracted position for long periods of time, this band gets shorter and tighter and tighter and tighter, which will eventually cause a chronically rounded shoulder, which is causing some of that pain when you're sitting at your desk. And that's what is happening with mouse shoulder. So we want to try to loosen up that region, because when that shoulder is rounded, this band gets a little bit tighter. We want to try to make it a little bit looser and stretch it out so that we can retract, which is bringing your shoulder back behind you, our shoulder, and alleviate some of that soreness and some of that trigger point tenderness that we're feeling in our pectoralis major area right here. And so with all that to say, you could also be having some soreness in the back of your shoulder as well, and that's okay. You can do some of the exact same things, laying on the floor, hunting for some of those tightness areas or fascial tightness areas. It could be your latissimus dorsi, it could be your rotator cuff or your rhomboid minor, rhomboid major muscles in your back there. You can also hunt for some spots on a doorway here, so you can just place the ball right on that area of trigger, that area that feels a little bit tight, that trigger point area, and just hang out the back of your shoulder. Same idea with what we were doing at the front with our pec muscles, and that'll help alleviate some of those trigger points so that you can alleviate that mouse shoulder pain. One thing to keep note of too is when we're rolling our shoulder, try to be mindful of the very, very front of your shoulder. It's called your bicipital groove area. It can get really tender if we're rolling over that particular area. So you want to try to stay more in the muscle belly in this region of your pectoralis minor, or pectoralis minor or major. You kind of hunt around this area and not necessarily the front of your shoulder, because it might not feel the best when we're rolling over that particular area. So try to stick with your pectoralis major minor muscle group area right in this region here. And comment below, let me know, do you have mouse shoulder pain when you're sitting at your desk for long periods of time? Do you feel like you have trigger point tightness? Do you feel like it's your mouse that's really contributing to that pain, or is there any other particular thing that could be causing that? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know if I can make a video addressing some of those ailments that you might have. And if you found value from this content, consider dropping a like or tipping a coffee. It really helps support the channel. And if you're looking to learn more about mouse shoulder and different setups that you can do at your desk to help alleviate that, and some exercises you can try, you can check out this linked video over here, and I'll see you over there.